Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. I don't set an alarm for 3:17 a.m., but for weeks now, that's when I wake. Always the same way, like someone hooked a wire to my chest and yanked me upright. No dream, no noise, just that sudden thud of awareness, like being pulled out of water. At first I blamed the usual things: stress, too much caffeine, late night scrolling. My brain does this sometimes, decides I don't deserve rest, and drags me out of whatever shallow sleep I managed. But this was different. The time bothered me. Not 3, not 3:30, always 3:17. The first night I noticed it, I was lying there, groggy and pissed off, staring at the faint orange glow bleeding through my blinds. My bedroom window faces a narrow strip of cracked pavement between my house and the empty duplex next door. It's not an alley exactly, it's just enough space for the garbage bins, a walkway nobody really uses. That's when I saw the movement. It was subtle, just a distortion in the glow, like someone passing under the streetlight, but wrong, too tall, too thin. The shadow stretched unnaturally as it drifted past my window. My stomach clenched, and my first thought, because I wanted it to be normal, was neighbor. Maybe the landlord rented the place again. Maybe someone was just cutting through, drunk and lost. My neighborhood's quiet, but it isn't perfect. I told myself it was nothing. Then came the sound. Not footsteps exactly, more like heavy boots dragging across broken concrete. Step, drag, step, drag. The rhythm was slow, deliberate, not hurried, not casual. The kind of sound that makes your skin crawl because you know whoever's making it doesn't care if they're heard. I froze. I couldn't make myself get up, couldn't even pull the blinds aside to peek. I just lay there, staring at the strip of shadow crossing my wall until the sound faded into silence. When I finally checked the time on my phone, the numbers glared back at me. 3:17 a.m. The second night, I woke with the same jolt, same pit in my stomach. I didn't want to look, but my eyes slid toward the window anyway. There it was again, tall, distorted, passing by in that same smooth, deliberate glide. My throat went dry. This time I noticed how the shadow leaned, like it didn't walk so much as drift forward, tethered to some invisible track. And the sound, God, the sound was exactly the same. Step, drag, as though it had been recorded and played back at the same volume, the same timing. I didn't sleep after that. I pulled the blanket up over my head like I was a kid again, heart hammering against my ribs. Every creak of the house, every shift of the wind outside, sounded like it was circling back. By the third night, fear had twisted into obsession. I stayed awake on purpose, waiting for it, kept the lights off, blinds cracked just enough to see the pavement. I told myself I wanted proof, that if I could just catch it in detail, I'd figure out what it was. Some teenager messing with me, a homeless guy, anything explainable. When 3:17 hit, I was already staring at the glass. It came again, same as before, same glide, same dragging rhythm. My breath fogged the window, and I forced myself not to blink. I was ready this time. But that night, it did something different. It stopped, not for long. Just a pause in its perfect rhythm. Right there, halfway past my window, the shadow froze. My heart jumped into my throat. I swear the thing's head tilted just slightly toward the blinds. I didn't move, didn't breathe. My whole body screamed to get away, but I couldn't. I just sat there, sweat trickling down my back, staring at that warped silhouette. And then, just like that, it continued. Step, drag, step, drag, until the sound faded again. After that, I couldn't pretend anymore. This wasn't a neighbor. This wasn't some random drunk cutting through. It was something else, something that knew exactly when to show up, because every night since, 3:17 wakes me. No matter what time I go to bed, no matter how deep the sleep, my eyes snap open, and without fail, that shadow moves past my window, keeping time like it's on a schedule I was never meant to notice. The worst part? I'm starting to wonder if it doesn't just walk by. I'm starting to wonder if it's watching me too. I stopped pretending I didn't care. By the fourth night, I'd given up on sleep. My whole body buzzed with the anticipation of it, like waiting for a storm is about to break. I set my alarm for 3 a.m. just to be safe. The moment it buzzed, I killed it with a slap, sat up in the dark, and waited. My phone screen lit my face while I checked the time every 30 seconds. 3:05, 3:11, 3:15. By 3:16, my hands were slick with sweat. And then 3:17. At first, silence. I almost thought I'd imagined everything, that the last 3 nights had just been some trick of a tired brain. My chest tightened as the seconds ticked by. Then the sound came. Step, drag, step, drag. My blood went cold. The figure slid into view across the blinds, but this time I was ready. I kept the lights off, left the blinds cracked open just enough to see the pavement outside. I leaned forward, trying to get a clearer look. My heart thundered in my ears, drowning out the dragging footsteps. The thing was tall, easily 7 feet. Its arms hung too long, brushing the sides of its legs as it moved. There was no clothing I could make out, no details at all, just a tall silhouette that seemed darker than the night itself. And then it stopped, right in front of my window. I froze, my lungs locked. For a moment I thought maybe it was coincidence, that it had just paused mid-stride, but then its head turned. I didn't see a face, not really, but I felt it, that shift in the air when someone locks eyes with you, even from across a crowded room. This wasn't a crowd. This was inches away. It stood there so long I thought I'd pass out. My muscles burned with the effort of not moving. My phone screen dimmed and went black in my hand, and the reflection in the glass showed me wide-eyed and trembling, staring into the dark. Finally, after what felt like hours, it continued. Step, drag, step, drag. The sound faded until it was gone. I stayed there, shaking long after. That should have been enough to scare me off, but it didn't. The next night, I sat at my desk across from the window, determined to catch it again. This time I wanted proof, something my brain couldn't explain away in the daylight. I left my phone propped against a mug, recording with the camera angled at the blinds. 3:17. The sound started louder than before. Step, drag, step, drag. My stomach knotted. I leaned closer to the sliver in the blinds, pulse rattling through my chest. The figure slid into view again, smooth and tall, darker than the shadows it moved through. I swear it paused directly in front of the lens. The phone screen flickered, static lines cutting across the image. And then it tilted its head again. This time I was sure it was staring at me. The camera feed glitched, the audio spiking into a low, distorted hum. My ears rang. I flinched back just as the figure's outline seemed to stretch, like it was pressing closer to the glass. Then, just like the night before, it resumed walking. Step, drag, step, drag, gone. I scrambled for my phone, heart hammering, but when I checked the video, the feed had frozen at 3:16:59, the last second before it arrived. Nothing but an empty walkway. The days after that were worse. I'd be at work, mid-conversation, and my phone would glitch to 3:17 for a split second. No matter the real time, those numbers flickered at me like a warning. I started hearing faint footsteps in the hall outside my apartment. Once, while brushing my teeth, I caught a glimpse in the bathroom mirror of a long, dark figure standing behind me, gone when I whipped around. I'm not crazy. I know I'm not. But whatever walks past my window knows I'm watching, and it doesn't like it. By the sixth night, I couldn't take it anymore. I told myself I was done being passive, done lying in bed like a kid hiding from the boogeyman. If it wanted to walk past my window, fine, but I was going to catch it, prove to myself it was real. I set everything up like a ritual. Phone recording on the desk, blinds cracked wider than before, lights off, chair pulled close enough that my breath fogged the glass. I sat there with my knees bouncing, trying to ignore the sweat crawling down my spine. 3:10, 3:13, 3:15. My pulse thudded against my throat. My ears strained for that dragging sound, the one I knew by heart now. And then 3:17. Step, drag, step, drag. It was louder, so much louder, like the footsteps weren't on the pavement anymore, but inside my chest, beating in rhythm with my heart. The figure slid into view, taller than ever, darker than the night itself. This time it didn't just pause at the window. It stopped, square in front of me. I could feel it staring. No eyes, no face, just the weight of something ancient and deliberate pressing down on me. My lungs fought for air. My fingers dug into the arms of the chair. The phone recording crackled, static chewing across the screen. The image warped, stretching the window into a funhouse mirror. And then the glass began to darken. Not fog, not condensation. It was like ink bleeding from the figure's silhouette, spreading across the window pane. My reflection dissolved into blackness. I couldn't see myself anymore, just that void pressing closer, closer. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, everything was silent, too silent. No crickets, no hum of the fridge behind me, not even my own breathing, like the world had held its breath. Then came the knock. A soft, deliberate tap, just once, from the inside of the glass. I fell backward out of the chair, scrambling across the floor like an animal. My chest heaved, bile burning my throat. I watched in horror as the blinds lifted, not from the bottom, but from the top, as if something was crawling downward. The shadow poured inside, not like a body stepping through, but like the darkness itself had detached from the window and slithered into the room. Tall, spindly, wrong. It unfolded in the corner, rising until it nearly scraped the ceiling. I couldn't scream. My jaw worked uselessly as tears blurred my vision. It moved without moving, 1 second across the room, the next directly above me. The smell hit me first, damp earth, rust, something sweet and rotten, like fruit left in the sun too long. My stomach lurched. The phone on the desk still recorded, though the screen was nothing but static. Over the hum, I heard my own voice whispering, but I wasn't speaking. Words crawled out of the speakers in my tone, low and broken. Why are you watching me? The shadow bent low, closer, until the blackness swallowed the light from the street outside. My skin burned cold where its shape passed over me. My last clear thought wasn't even a prayer. It was just a fractured plea. Don't let it touch me. Don't let it touch me. And then it did. The room dropped out from under me. The air punched from my lungs. My body convulsed like I'd been plunged into ice. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My vision tunneled into static, just like the phone's feed. The last thing I remember, before everything went white, was the sound of dragging footsteps, not outside, not fading away. Inside, circling, waiting for 317 to come again.